Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead. So it's Monday and we're in mid-August. Earnings season is kind of winding down, and you're going to look at the newspapers and you're going to see another new high. I wouldn't say the volume's explosive and the movement's like crazy, but there's lots of things to do. You know, and if you do read my note every morning, you'll see I have about 20, 25 names with different types of tactics on how you can make cash flow and how you might be able to sit in things and ride a trend, especially if you know my rules, which one of them is if you're above the 8 and 21-day moving average, think to yourself, what does Red Dog say? You try and be long. You don't try and just fight the tape. So let's just get right into it. If you go here to the S&P cash, you will see here is your 2-year range, which we broke above post-Brexit. We've been above the 8 and 21-day moving average since here. Okay, and that was right before we broke out above it on that jobs report that was about 2 months ago. So we take a closer look because we like to trade closer up, you know, and you'll see that here is when, you know, you had the V bottom, your Red Dog reversal. We reclaimed the 8 and 21-day right here. From here, you had to move up, tested the 21-day, and now here we are. You know, we got above last week's high after holding the 8-day moving average during the course of the week, and that's what we do, a new high of 2193. So are we above the 8 and 21-day moving average? Yes. So what does that mean? You try and have a swing portfolio on. Okay, we reclaimed it right here, and you had your breakout move right there, and it's been a very healthy market with everyone saying sell in May and go away, with oil was down from 50 to 40. You know, August, I think Goldman, JP Morgan, Jeff, all they said is sell, 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 and market's giving you not much of a reason to do so. But let me say this, if you happen to have, you know, everything invested in the stock market right now, okay, maybe you do buy a little VIX. Why not? It's like the lowest it's been in multiple months, so if you want a little insurance, fine. If you trim into big moves, that's cool too. If you trade actively for cash flow, just make sure you have a reason for being in your trade. So just in case we do get a pullback and that reason changes, then you can get out. Okay, going real quickly through the sectors, the IBB. You know, we talked about the breakout trade here, okay, when it reclaimed the 8-day and took out the downtrend and went all the way up. This was your pullback to 288, and now it's back above the 200-day, and it looks like at some point it could get back above 300. You know, last week before leaving on vacation, we talked about the move down in oil that could be buyable. When I was on Fox Business that Thursday, I was like, look out for a bottom, and how do you find the bottom? With a Red Dog reversal. This was at spot 64.93, went below, came back above it, and now look where it is, right back into the top end of the range. So, you know, this was the problem. You know, remember, oil's in a bear market because it went from 51 to 41. Well, it bounced, and so did the sector. And if you look, you know, where this came from, I think at some point, you know, it's going to get back above this area. You know, it's now back above the 200-day, okay, which it was below since almost, you know, I don't even know, over a year. So constructive could be something you sit in. Okay, and then you have the momentum moves, okay, the moves that we trade. And we had a lot of good strategies into earnings. Okay, let's go through a few of them. First was Apple. Apple was, you know, everyone thought it was going to be a horrendous report, even me. You know, and then what happened? They had a good report, and now all of a sudden we have an iPhone 7 coming out soon, and, you know, we talked about how it could repair. Well, first you had your gap up above the 200-day, and then what happened? It never filled it. So right in here is when I started to over-focus on Apple once again. Okay, and here's when we bought August calls. I bought September 105 calls. You know, you had your first little inside move, okay, gave you a little breakout, shook the tree, got tight again, went up. Last week was quiet, and then what did it do again today? Made a new move. Okay, so for me, you know, I've been sitting in September 105 calls on Friday to Redler All Access, which was right here. I talked about buying the 108 for September 9. You know, right there, almost a double already, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. I think there's news after the close that Warren upped his stake. Everyone was saying how he bought it and sold it. Well, you know what? He didn't buy it and sell it. He bought it and added. So the higher end of the target that I had on Twitter was right here, and you know, tomorrow, if it gets north of 110, maybe I'll turn my straight calls for September into a call spread. Okay, sell the 110s, and this way I'll just hold them, and they'll be fully vested. So Apple's been something very good to focus on for the past week and a half or 2 weeks. You know, but before then it wasn't. But that's when things change. How did things change? You get a big gap up, they defend the gap up, and it continues. BABA was also another great strategy while I was away on vacation. Had the stock, had the options also, but I don't take stock into earnings. So thank goodness we had a little trade from 85 to 87.5 before earnings came out on that Thursday, so we were able to make money in the stock. So it's almost like as if I wasn't a professional trader. I was like you at home. I just had some swings on and I was managing them. Well, BABA, gave me a nice trade. When it went above, here, which we were looking at for it to get above 85. We also had a nice tradable pattern on it here. That's when we got into our first set of options. And then I think I was in the 85s and 88s, made some money, and then it extended. Some guys got a little short when it did this little red dog reversal today. Got to give it to Chait. He scalped some money out of there, went above 98.35, came in. Doesn't mean the move's over, but needs a little rest. Look how extended it is. Does this big gap up and powerful move make it, put it in the cards that it could take out 120 at some point? We'll see. At this point, I think this 105 is going to be some big resistance, and you probably need some time. In my morning note, I talked about could BIDU, play a little catch up because of the strength in the Shanghai and et cetera, and you had a nice little tradable move in BIDU. What do I mean by a tradable move? I mean there was a setup. What's a setup? A setup is a tight pattern. What's the tight pattern here? I talked about in my notice. It can BIDU play catch up. If so, it's going to have to get above 169. First spot is the 200-day around 173. And there's your cash flow move. And it's still a laggard, but that was money. And if you made some money, great. If you hold a little bit, okay, you held a little bit. And then, we talked about the casinos. I actually got long WYYN today. It was my focus in the 2016 note for it to take out this spot. And it did, and gave you a quick move up to the highs here before consolidating. And now it looks like you have a nice channel here. So there's a setup. There's a reason for me to be in it. A channel that goes almost 4 months. It's back above on the moving averages. So I bought some September calls. The September, I bought what did I buy? The hundreds and the 105s. Why did I buy the 105s? Because this is your resistance. If it gets and stays above this, I personally think that at some point, the way WYYN's trading, it's going to fill this gap. And you're going to see a move to probably around here. So I want to be in some options for it. So I bought options going out 3 weeks. And I also bought a little stock. So if it trades through this, I could add above it for some cash flow. And then maybe it sees, 110 or so this week or 108. So 2 ways to trade it. Also, we were talking about LVS looking a little bit better after earnings. Why was it a little bit better? Because of a few things. One, what did you have after earnings? You had a gap up. Gap ups, trap shorts and add fuel for the long side. So that was that. Consolidated, knighted here, and now you're up, on the move. So this too, I didn't choose LVS, but I wanted to buy calls. I just didn't. I think this too has a little bit of a home higher. So and where's higher? That's higher. Is it above the 200-day now? Yes. Was it below it this whole time? That's what your stay away. So it gapped above it. So maybe it's a little bit reborn for a good third quarter, maybe even fourth quarter play. Let's see what else. New issues we talked about. Big time moves, ACIA and TWLO. We had it on my note for the last 2 months. This morning I sent out a tweet saying I would not be chasing it today, and hopefully you didn't, because look what happened today. It wound up giving you a day 3, which we like to sell day 3. Remember my rules? Day 1 you like to buy, day 2 you could add. Sometimes I sell a little early on day 2, but day 2 you add, day 3 you sell, and if you did so, you did well. Look how far off the highs. So now we'll see if it could do some work above this to continue. ACIA, same kind of thing, just really, really extended, sorry. So that's why I was like, what, if you did not buy it when it got above the post-IPO high here, which is right here, or when it cleared this resistance here, I wouldn't be chasing it here north of 100, considering it's tripled. So what did it do? Has a little bit of a doji close. Some people think that they can go out short it, which they might. And then if it happened to open up a little bit and traded below today's low tomorrow, maybe you get a little bit more. Look how extended it is. But either way, if you were in it long, congratulations. You could have picked the spot and you did really well. Just to close it up, the market's been trending very well. Most indices are above the 21-day moving average. You've had some momentum in key names where you could buy high and sell higher. I know the last week or so I was away. I was watching Google. It looked a little choppy. Amazon hasn't been great. Facebook's been lethargic. So people are trying to call a top because of that. Maybe, or maybe they're just getting some liquidity and they've been going after these new IPOs, some of the momentum names. Like look at this LN. I know Sperling had it, and same type of pattern. Came public, pulled in, cleared this little pivot, got above the the IPO high, and who knows where this winds up going. But these type of patterns have been working. When you get above and stay above an IPO high, the sky's the limit if it wants to go. These guys are also looking at PI. This too. Look at that. Similar chart. Charts repeat themselves. This is actually when it went above the post-IPO high. So now you had to do a different type of strategy when it cleared this flag and pulled in a little bit, but ultimately looks as if this can continue. So lots of different ways to skin a bear or skin a cat or just trade the market as long as you're looking for setups and not for tops. Hopefully you've been having a great day. It's good to be back, and I'll see you tomorrow at the morning call.